So I have watched trailer for the Prince of Persia, the Sands of Time remake, and well, maybe let's talk about the original first and the movie adaptation too, for good measure. The original game, from the mind of Jordan Mechner and Ubisoft, was released in 2003 and was met with critical acclaim from players and game critics. It's one of my favorite games ever made, but let's see if it's only the nostalgia talking or the game still holds up. The game starts with CGI cutscene where we see our protagonist Prince storming through the forest to the unknown location and telling the tale like
none that you have ever heard.
in this tale a young prince takes part in Shahraman's siege against the Maharaja. One vizier betrays him by killing the guard and opening the gate. A young and gullible prince wants to impress his father by going to the Maharaja's treasure vault head on. And this is where we start the game. The first part is the tutorial in which you will learn how to control your character, jump, wall run and fight. Combat system is very simplistic because you only have one attack button, dodge and block, but later in the game we will have additional options thanks to the Dagger of Time and stronger swords. Another part of the tutorial is about platforming and how the traps work. I like this kind of tutorials because they are not very intrusive, yet they still tells you what you can do. After more platforming sections we find ourselves in the treasure vault, but Prince have eyes only on this beauty, the Dagger of Time that will be a fine collection to his office for sure. He finds out by getting almost crushed by the ceiling that the dagger can rewind time and it's time to go back to the main hall where his father and the hourglass, another important treasure, are. The main heroine of the game gets captured and off you go. While they were visiting Azad, Prince is tricked by the vizier to open the hourglass that have dire consequences for everyone present except for the prince, vizier and mysterious women, and a few others, but they probably got sand later on. Now the real fun begins. Every enemy we encounter now is the sand monster in some form, so we encounter not only soldiers, but civilians that had a displeasure to be there, and even mutated beetles and
big fat flightless bird!
Those are all. Those are all. Just sort of the general.
Whatever.
now, like I said before, by obtaining the Dagger of Time we have a few more tricks up our sleeves in combat. We can now freeze the enemy, slow the time, rewind if we mess something up in combat or in platforming sections. And later in the game we have this one powerful wave attack that destroys every enemy in a short proximity. Every time you want to use Dagger of Time you lose the sand capsule that you can replenish by stabbing enemy on the ground. By doing that you get one sand capsule and small part of the, like I call it, moon capsule for other attacks like freezing and wave attack. You start with 4, but by collecting strange lights on the floor throughout the game you will get more capsules. Also, there are a few hidden spots where you can upgrade your life bar. You will see those spots mostly without any difficulty, maybe 1 or 2 are harder to get. I really like that not only our protagonist will narrate throughout the game, but in few instances will talk with himself, like for example when you find your first life upgrade.
Hello? Is anyone there? I have a feeling I'm not in Azad anymore.
Poor guy doesn't know where he is and how is it possible, and so do we. He is voiced by Yuri Lowenthal and he is great in portraying this bratty, inexperienced prince.
Give me the dagger.
Who are you?
I am Farah, the daughter of the Maharaja from whom you stole it. This is your doing,
I saw my father turn to sand.
and we will share his fate if you do not give me the dagger to undo what you have done.
Your traitorous vizier used the same words. From now on, I trust no one but myself. Run! Go back to the reception hall. Wait for me there. Go!
On our way, we met this mysterious girl from before called Farah. They both don't really trust each other, but what can you do in this situation? Aside from combat and platforming, we have some easy puzzles to sweeten the gameplay. I think the most iconic is the one with the screaming guard that helping us with the defense system of the castle.
Oh, thank God! I was afraid you were one of them! Can you help me activate the Azar's defense system? I'll reset the axles for you! The man who's normally in charge of this got... Never mind! You'll need to pick them up one by one until you've got all four! That's it! You've got the first axle! Now pick up the other three! Remember, pay attention to the grooves! That's two! Just one more! That's four! That's it! I knew you could do it! Throw your lever, and I'll throw mine!
What manner of machine is this?
I told you! It's the palace's defense system! Stop wasting time! Throw your lever! Ha! We did it! Serve those accursed demons right! Oh, by God, they'll rue the day they ever dared attack the palace of Azad!
And then he becomes the sand monster in his usual loud manner. Beautiful. So now the defense system is on, but it's only a problem for us, not the monsters. They don't really care about that. Thanks, man. Now we have more platforming sections and I need to talk about the camera in this game. As you can see, it's a third-person camera with free look. You can go first person to check your surroundings, but only while standing still. Yet we need to talk about the camera because when it works, you feel like a badass going from wall to wall, dodging spikes and shit, but a lot of time camera don't really know where she wants to focus on. Or she just resetting herself behind you when you don't want it and you're failing a jump because of that. It's not terrible and you have this reverse time mechanic, so it's okay. A lot of platforming games in that era had problems with camera and sense of time is one of them, unfortunately. Another thing I want to talk about is the save system. Throughout the game you will find these glowing spots and when you go into them you will have a quick premonition of what Prince will do next and after that you can save your progress. After every save, Prince is lying on the floor like he has the worst hangover. At first I wasn't really a fan of these premonitions, but later they show a random event that won't happen very soon and it gets you interested. And I was surprised a few times. At least I felt like this. Anyway, Prince wanted to meet Farah in the main hall where she is surrounded by more sand monsters. We have a fight with Prince's father and I believe it's the only real boss fight in the game. Well, maybe the one of two, but we get there. Like I said before, most of the combat in the game is simple and not really difficult. So unless you won't have any sand left, it will be a breeze. Well, maybe in few parts and because of Farah, but I will get to that. After killing his father, they can finally join forces to fix it. How, you may ask? Remember that hourglass that made a mess not so long ago? Looks like it has a failsafe. By striking the top of the hourglass with the dagger, Prince can rewind time. I mean, he can rewind time now, but only for a few seconds. We're talking about rewinding to the time when the siege has taken place, or even before that. But the problem is that the hourglass is far up in the Tower of Dawn. From this point on, Farah will be at your side for most of the time, but with breaks when Prince have to go to the place where she, for example, can't reach. So we will split up and then reunite again. I really like the banter between them throughout the game. At first, they are sarcastic, but the further they go, they become more romantic.
Hey, there's no door.
Stand on that pressure plate, will you?
Now I get.
I don't know. Can't you crawl through a crack or something? Of course, the hourglass. All right. But this time, stay with me and pay attention. Can't spend all day chasing after you.
I know where I am. This gate leads to the baths. Do you think you could find your way there?
Of course, finding my way to the baths from here should be easy.
Good. I'll meet you there. It's all right. It's me. It's me.
I know it's very cliché, but it fits this Arabic tale. Speaking of Arabic tale, we will visit locations like previously mentioned Treasure Vault, the Sultan's Zoo, the library, the baths,
I'll meet you at the baths.
the Sultan's harem,
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
a soldier's mess hall, observatory, the prison, the tomb, Tower of Dawn, and more. All of them have a distinctive look, and for the most part you can believe that someone lived here. Overall graphics is really good, and when it comes to this dreamy, a little cartoony style and soft picture, I believe it stands the test of time. Of course, some textures, character models don't look too good for today's standards, but for 2003 it had a very distinctive look. I like this small detail when after you roll on the ground you will get dirty, and if you won't move for a few seconds, Prince will do something about it. Or if when you draw your sword in front of Farah when there are no more enemies, or when you accidentally fall into the pit, she will react to that.
What? Look out!
Throughout the game, Prince will lose parts of his armor to show the hardships of this journey. We will also collect more powerful swords, but nothing major changes in combat, except for the last one. After a lot of close calls, a lot of fighting and platforming and solving puzzles with and without Farah, we come to the part where the game takes a darker turn.
Prison. In my father's palace was a prison much like this. I had never set foot inside. Now here I was, myself a prisoner, seeking an escape.
Prince falls into the prison area. We are alone. Heavy music, blood and rust on the floor, and different kind of torture devices are everywhere. It's the only darker part of the game, and after the prison area we are back to the lighter tone. I really like this sudden change. We meet with Farah again when she is fighting sand monsters, so we come to the rescue. We are now very close to the hourglass, and I think it's good time to talk about Farah. I really like her character, but when it comes to combat she's very fragile, and in most instances you will fail because she will get killed. The problem is larger in the second part of the game, when you are fighting bigger and stronger enemies that can take her life with 2 swings. I mean, at this moment you are pretty powerful and skilled, so it's not that bad overall, but it would be better if she could jump on some higher platform and cover me with her bow and not just stand in the middle of the fight. Well, she do that few times, but not every time, unfortunately. And one time she even abandoned her sniping spot, just, I don't know, why.
Get out of here!
Maybe it's supposed to show that she's fearless, but come on, Farah. Oh, and she can hit you with the arrow too.
I'll cover you.
Please don't. You're liable to hit me.
Interesting thing happened to me when I was recording my latest playthrough. Check this out. That never happened to me before, and it was kind of creepy because I never expected something like this. Anyway, we need to take the lift to the hourglass, and we have, I think, the hardest fight in the game, because not only we need to watch out for Farah, but it's very tight space with a lot of enemies. After the fight, we finally can reverse time like Farah said.
You did it! Take the dagger. Strike it into the center of the dome.
My father's army sacked your palace, captured you as a slave.
What?
You have every reason to hate me.
What are you talking about?
Now you want me to trust you.
Go on! There's no time!
Give me the dagger.
The dagger! He must not get the dagger!
I had faced my enemy. I had looked into his eyes, and I had lost everything.
When I was small, my mother taught me a secret word. She said that when I was afraid, all I had to do was speak that word, and a magic door would open. I've never told that to anybody.
I can see why. It's the most childish thing I've ever heard of. What was the word?
Kakolukiam.
Kakolukiam. You did that, didn't you? Farah?
What a thrill, with darkness and silence through the night. What a thrill.
After going down the equivalent of Snake Eater's ladder, we had this strange puzzle where you have to choose the right door or you will be going in circles. I heard that people really hate this part of the game, but I don't really understand why. All you need to do is listen to the splashing water. Repeat this few times and that's it. We finally find Farah and have a sexy time with her.
Come on.
Was it real, that magical cavern? If it was a dream, then it was a dream we both shared. I know it was. Farah. Oh no.
But turns out that she fucked us in more than one way, because she took the dagger of time and our sword and left us defenseless. To get the last sword, we need to solve this mirror puzzle. Now we have the most powerful sword that kills enemies with one slice, but you don't have the dagger, so if you fail, you can't rewind. I like that because by this point you are really skilled and hardened warrior, so you have to use everything that you have learned throughout the game. After more fighting and platforming, you catch up with Farah.
Farah, no! No.
The girl is unimportant. Give me the dagger, and I will give you power. Eternal life will be yours.
Live forever, and those I loved are dead and I to blame. I choose death.
With nothing to lose, Prince rewind time to the night before the siege. And now we know where he was going at the start of the game, to warn Farah of the betrayal. And turns out that he didn't tell the story of the game to us, but to Farah. After a whole night of talking, the traitor shows up to kill us and her. And like I said before, you can say that he is the final boss of the game, but he doesn't really feel like one. Prince kills him, and we have a final scene of the game.
I could have been immortal.
Then it's true. He was a traitor.
Take this. Return it to your father's treasure vault. Guard it well.
I owe you thanks. But why did you invent such a fantastic story? Do you think me a child, that I would believe such nonsense? I said I owe you thanks. You presume too much. Such a fantastic story. Do you think me a child, that I would believe such nonsense?
You're right. It was just a story.
Wait! I don't even know your name.
Just call me Kakulukia.
I need to talk about the music by Stuart Chatwood. Every song is oozing with style and fits perfectly in this tale. Songs are memorable, and the Tower of Dawn theme is just fantastic, and I still listen to it every now and then. I'm actually using the soundtrack in this video so you can have a taste. Well, now I can answer, is that nostalgia or the game still holds up? It's not perfect, but it's perfectly playable, and I would still recommend it, and it won't be my last playthrough, that's for sure. Now let's talk about Prince of Persia movie adaptation from 2009 by Disney. I won't be talking about this for very long, because honestly, as a Prince of Persia movie, it doesn't have a lot to do with Prince of Persia. I will only talk about some pointless changes that the movie made and stuff that they took from the game. So, our unnamed prince is now named Dastan. And we see a pointless backstory when he was a child. Then King Shahraman adopted him because he saw good in him? Okay. They're still taking the city, but it's different now because King Shahraman doesn't know about this, but his two sons plus Dastan are the one taking point. Vizier is nowhere to be seen, and we have Princess Tamina and not Farah. I don't really care if characters have different names, because what really matters is how close are they in personality to the game counterparts. And I kind of like them here, but when it comes to their banter, all I see is Elizabeth Swann throwing tantrums at Jack Sparrow from Pirates of the Caribbean.
One, because it is a vile drink that turns even the most respectable men into complete scoundrels. Two, that signal is over 1,000 feet high. The entire Royal Navy is out looking for me. Do you really think that there is even the slightest chance that they won't see it?
Long, stomping strides. The walk of a self-satisfied satisfied Persian prince. No doubt it comes from being told since birth the world is yours.
I really wanted to see the sand monsters on the big screen, but guess what? They are not here. No hourglass, no sand monsters, all we have is the Dagger of Time and some stupid plot for the Dastan and Tamina to be on the run. Poisoned rope, Jesus Christ. And what about the Dagger of Time? I mean, we still can have some badass slow-mo action and rewind time, right?
Yeah, it's rewind time.
No. No.
Yeah.
First time Dastan finds out about the dagger power is when Princess almost kills him, and in this scene he used all the sand. Yeah, really. She has a little more on her, but he only used the dagger again to fight snakes, and at the end of the movie, but not even in the fight. I mean, why? Why so many changes? Just stick to the game story and you have a banger on your hand. Like, come on. Without all this stuff that made the game so great, it's just another Aladdin story, but worse. He shows his acrobatic skills in a few scenes and oh look, he's wearing outfit from the second game, and in one fight the enemy attacks with a chain similar to the one that Prince has in the third game. You see guys? We saw some concept art from the game. You should be happy. It turns out that the uncle of the king set him up because he wants to find
The sand glass of the gods.
So they have the hourglass, huh? Yeah. He still needs the dagger to rewind time to the day when he saved King Shahraman and now leave him to die. Because he wants to be the king. Right? So we have an ending where, like in the game, Farah Tamala dies and Prince saves the day, but just with worse execution. I like Jake Gyllenhaal as the prince, but shame he wasn't in the different movie. And now let's talk about the remake of the game. Remakes like Resident Evil 2 or Final Fantasy VII skyrocketed the expectations for that kind of treatment, and by looking at Prince of Persia, all I see is that Ubisoft just don't care. Game doesn't look good visually, and from the snippets of gameplay it's just janky. It looks really low budget. I mean, it's great that the voice actor for Prince, Yuri Lowenthal, reclaims his role in the remake. I will wait for the release for the final judgment and maybe, just maybe, they actually release something that don't scream cash grab. But on the other hand, it's Ubisoft. The game was delayed first time for I think 3 months, so nobody complained. But 3 months is not a lot to fix the whole game, so it's good that there is another delay without specific date, and again, nobody complained because really, just take your time and maybe make something that fans will enjoy. I understand that a small team from India is doing it, but why? I don't blame them, I blame Ubisoft for giving a franchise that's loved by many fans to someone inexperienced. The pressure is probably high in the studio now after the reception of the reveal, and I hope they deliver. I really do, but I have PTSD from 13 Remake that was made by small studio too, and it's terrible and insulting. I saw a rumor that after the reception of the trailer, Ubisoft took the game from this studio and gave it to a more experienced team, but it was just a rumor, so I believe it when I see it. Well, I started it, so maybe I will go for the whole Sense of Time trilogy now. Next up, Warrior Within. Thanks for watching. See you soon.